Hi everyone, in the last video we discussed introduction to Tableau, where we downloaded Tableau public, added a CSV file which is called uploading data to Tableau, understood what the different panes are, data analytics pane, marker pane, detailed pane, and the show me pane, right? We went through all the basics in a stepwise manner. If you have any doubts in that lecture or in that video, go back, watch it again, make sure you are clear on those basics, because in this video, we'll be diving into filtering data filters. Data filters is step 1, and believe me, it goes till step 101 because this is the most important thing you need to know to derive insights out of your data. If you can slice, dice, and filter your data in a manner which generates insights, you'll be invaluable to any organization you apply to or work for in the future. With that, let's get started. In the deck, you'll see that the filtering data in Tableau is a topic. Moving ahead, the agenda for this. Why data filtering? Similar to why Tableau. We'll follow the same structure. Types of data filtering. What are different types of data filters? In Tableau, there are 6 types. And I'll show in those 6 types of data filters, 3 are performance driven and 3 are interactivity driven. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. And third will be the demo. Once I give you all the theory in this PPT, you should expect a demo out of it. And in that demo, I'll be hands-on and I'll show you how to apply those 6 kinds of filters, right? With that, let's get started. So why data filtering? As I said in the introduction, data filtering is of utmost importance to generate insights. If you can generate insights with the data that you are working in, you are no longer just a data analyst, you are a consultant. And you can help CXOs or your managers or business leaders make important decisions which drives improvements in your business, and in that process makes you invaluable to your team members and to your firm. So now, where I have rambled enough about the importance of data filtering, let's get started to why we need data filtering. Until now, we have only come across how we can get started, right? But how do you solve business problems? You need to filter data. Okay, but how do we do that? How does Tableau help in this scenario? You can filter data in Excel or in Google Sheets or in R or Python as well. Where does Tableau help in this? Tableau has 6 types of data filters, which helps us in analyzing focus areas and gives us a 5-point summary. When I say 5-point summary, it's very important to understand what 5-point summary means. 5-point summary is not like we'll give you 5 bullets which you have to cram into your head and remember it throughout your day. No. 5-point means exploratory data analysis. That means the minimum value of that data. Quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and the maximum value of that data. If you see 5 points, minimum, quartile 1, quartile 2, which is also known as median, quartile 3, which is 75th percentile, and then the maximum value, that is the quartile 4. This is the 5-point summary, right? So once you use data filters, you'll understand that what is the range of your data set. And you can select the range which you want to play with, or the range which is giving you an insight which everyone is waiting for. Third point, easy access to specifics. If you look at a large data set, it will be generic. If you look at a specific data set, you'll be able to find something specific to a certain audience, which then gives you a behavioral or an attitudinal aspect to it. This will in turn help you look at the data through multiple lenses, multiple angles, and through multiple sources, so that you are not just looking at a macro view, but at a micro view as well. This is called analyzing in slices, right? Now, once we know data filters, macro view, micro view, what are the types of data filters which help you achieve these views? As I mentioned in the intro, there are 6 types. 3 are performance driven, 3 are interactivity driven. Now, these 6 filters are on your screen right now. You can see extract filters, data source filters, context filters, dimension filters, measure filters, and table calculation filters. If you divide your screen into 2 halves, on the left hand side, you see extract filters, data source filters, and context filters. These 3 are performance optimization filters. These 3 will help you optimize your Tableau's performance. On the right side of your screen, dimension filters, measure filters, and table calculation filters are the interactivity filters. These filters will be applied at a worksheet level, and the user will be able to see the power of these filters. Again, left part of the screen, performance filters, right part of the screen, interactivity filters. I hope that's clear. Now that I have named these 6 filters, I'll go into the depth of it. I'll explain to you what each type of filter is, how these 3 filters are performance filters, how the latter 3 filters are interactivity filters. So we move on to the next slide. First one, extract filters. Extract filters are applied when you create an extract of your data source. In layman language, you have a data source of 9 million rows. You only want 1 million rows for your analysis. Why will you load a 9 million rows dataset, right? So you'll only extract what is relevant to you. Focus on the word extract here, right? This is what an extract filter does. They limit the data being extracted from the source, which helps in reducing the data volume. In our example, 9 million, 1 million. We reduced 89% of the data by just doing that, right? Use cases, it reduces data volume for better performance. Exactly the same thing that we discussed. Extract filters help you only pull in the data that you require. That's why it's called an extract filter. Full disclosure, this filter won't be applicable for Tableau public version. This is applicable for live and extract options that you only get in Tableau desktop version, right? So you won't be using this filter in the demo, which we do it later. So just wanted to let you know that upfront. Moving ahead, data source filters, another one of the performance filters. If you imagine a screen where you have data source, right? And the data that you're being pulled into it, right? Extraction filter taps into the source, right? You only got 1 million rows into the data source. In that 1 million rows, there is a possibility that you later find out, okay, out of those 1 million rows, 200,000 rows are not important to me at all. What do you do then? You don't like go back and remove the rows again from the extract, right? You can apply a data source filter. At the data source which you have for 1 million, you reduce the 200,000 rows. Now you have 800,000 rows which are important. So the definition of a data source filter is as follows. It applies directly to the data source, affecting all analyses. So the data flows into data source. Extraction happens at the data level. Data source filters happen at the data source level, and then it flows on to the worksheets. I hope the hierarchy is clear. The data source, and then the worksheets, right? I'm doing this sign here because there are multiple worksheets, if you can relate with it. Now that we have extract filter, data source filters, third will be context filters. Now this filter is applied at a worksheet level. Up until now, the 2 filters happened at the data level or at the data source level. This is the first filter out of the 6 which we are applying at the worksheet level. First, let's go through the definition, and then I'll tell you the use case scenario for it. Filters apply to control the data displayed in reports and visuals on user interaction. Users interact with worksheets, right? These filters can be set using slicers, filter panes, or within the visual setting. And it improves performance. Like I said, it's a performance filter. What is the use case? Let's say you pipe in your 800,000 rows, as we discussed in the example. I'm continuing the same example. In those 800,000 rows, the first visualization that you create, that is only concerned with the 200,000 rows. You don't need to load huge data, right? So for that visualization, which only caters to a certain geography or a certain level of detail, you'll put a context filter there, right? And it will only load those amount of rows, right? And since that visualization is based on 200,000 rows, whatever you filter apply post context filter, it will only filter the 200,000 rows, right? So let me give you in a layman perspective. Context filter is the highest priority filter on the worksheet, right? If you apply a context filter on a worksheet, any filter you apply subsequent will happen on that data set on which the context filter has been applied. I hope that's clear. If not, please look into the theory again. And once we do the demo, it will be very, very clear what we are trying to do. So wait for the demo, right? Now, performance filters are done. extract filters, data source filters, and context filter. These were the performance filters. Now we move on to interactivity filters. These are dimension filters, measures filters, and table calculation filters. In dimension filters, if you remember, I explained in brief in the last video what dimensions are and what measures are. Dimensions are categories, measures are values. Example, men and women are dimensions. It's a category, men, women. Gender has two categories, men and women. Men can be of a certain age, women can be of a certain age, which is a numerical value. That's a measure. So these are dimensions and measures. Now a dimension filter. Dimension filters are applied to categorical data such as names, dates, regions, etc. These are useful for including or excluding specific categories. If you only are concerned with the data regarding women or the data regarding men, you apply a dimension filter. Let's say your data has data for both men and women, right? What if you only want to analyze the data for men because that is your target demographic? In that case, you will apply a dimension filter, which will only filter the records in the rows which are for men or for women, right? So this example, I hope, helps you understand what a dimension filter is. You are only filtering one dimension. Cool? Now, similarly, when you move to a measure filters are applied to a quantitative data, such as sales, profit, ratings. These filters help to include or exclude data based on numerical values. Example, age was a numerical value, like I said before, right? So, if you only want to look at data, let's say, greater than a certain value, you ask 10 people, how do you rate me on a scale of 1 to 10? Let's say 8 out of them say, I rate you above 5, right? And the 2 out of 10 say, I rate you below 5. You can set a cutoff at 5 and say that I'm only interested in people who rated me above 5. So your sample would not be 10 people, it will be 8 people for your analysis, right? So you can set these kind of filters, and those kind of filters are called measure filters, where you use a quantitative cutoff to move ahead, right? Again, these filters help to include or exclude data based on numerical values. So in my example, greater than 5 cutoff was based on a numerical value. It can come through various sources, through some code or through some intuition or through some discussion. But that cutoff is a numerical cutoff. Hence, it's a measure filter. And with that, we come to the last filter called table calculation filters. As it says, table calculation, you calculate a field in Tableau and then you filter it. So the definition is very crisp. It's applied to results of table calculations. Once you create a calculated field in Tableau, then you apply the filter based on that. Don't worry, in the demo, we will cover 5 out of these 6 filters because extract filter cannot be covered in Tableau Public, as I mentioned before. But these 5 out of the 6 filters will show you in the Tableau demo ahead. Before we move to the demo, I would like to show you some of the example screenshots that we have here of dimension filter and table calculation filter. These will be used in the demo itself. So if you don't understand what's going on, if you feel there are too many drop downs, don't worry, a demo is coming up ahead. And in that demo, before we begin, there is a problem statement that I want you guys to remember in your head, or at least absorb it before we move on to the demo. The problem statement goes as follows. You are a data analyst at United Airlines. You are tasked to improve user experience. You must gather actionable information. That means you must get insights from extensive customer experience data provided by the company. So United Airlines had a lot of customers. They floated a survey to them. They gave their feedback. You have the data for that feedback, and now you need to get actionable insights out of that data. What columns are in that data? Really good question if that popped in your head. Next slide shows me the number of rows in that data, number of columns in that data, column names, and the descriptions of that data. So see this right now, what columns are there, what is the description of that column. And on the next slide also, there are some extra columns that you can see. All of these columns you will use in your analyses, and we will use it in the demo and show you how we can use these columns with their descriptions to understand this problem statement, ace this problem statement, and give actionable insights as required to improve the user experience. So now we'll move on to the demo. In case of any doubts or in case of anything that you feel you want a revision, please rewind back the video, watch it again, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.